Okay, guys, let's start. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the ASECO Academy webinar. My name is Bartek Duma, and I am going to be the presenter for today's session. Let me say, yeah, it's recording. Okay. It should take me up to 30 minutes to show my slides. Then we will have a Q&A session. So you can leave your question in the chat at any time it comes to your mind, or just ask it at the end of our meeting, okay? Today we're going to talk about why digital services are winning our hearts and wallets. Nice question. We all know that services are all around us, and for example, what is specific for the services that we have today is that, for example, we do not buy a car, but we use the leasing service. We also do not buy a movie on a DVD, but we are using streaming services from Netflix, from Disney, from HBO. We do not own, for example, the software, but we pay a subscription to use it. So the service model has become commonplace. This is especially true of digital services. What we can see in the market is that this trend is getting stronger, but the remaining questions are actually what does the service model look like today, or how is value created through these services? How did customers and users become an integral part of the service delivery model, and how can ITIL 4 help us create and deliver world-class services? We will try to answer all of these questions in this webinar. Let's start with something what is called the digital transformation. The term digital transformation is widely used by business and technology leaders, but this is, I think, worth pausing to reflect on what it really means, how it emerged, and why it is so important today. The basic concept of digital transformation is that several significant technological events they radically changed the way all enterprises work. So some of this created secondary events, which compounded the transformative power of this convergence of this kind of event. On this slide, you can see a list of such events, which is maybe not exhaustive, I know, but it serves to illustrate related advances that are relevant under this broad topic. What it is the availability of cheap and abundant computer power and storage space. We can see that. It's ubiquitous network connectivity. It's the explosion of internet-connected devices, and any devices that we today have, they can be easily connected to the internet. It's also about data analytics, machine intelligence, and machine-to-machine interactions. Also about real-time feedback via social media. I'll try to explain that a little bit later on. The combined effect of these advances enabled representation in something what we could call a machine readable or actionable format of every single document, image. It could be video, sound, transaction, and even measurement. This in turn disrupted entire industries with new business models and value creating opportunities. The business and the technology, they actually became, if I can say so, inseparable, because the advances just mentioned by me, they created the conditions to catalyze the growth of the other technology related ideas, such as agile IT, for example, such as rapid application development, such as Internet of Things and software-defined infrastructure. This everything fueled a cycle, the consequences of which can be seen. This is something that we can see through, for example, the time and cost needed, for example, to prototype, to build and run technology-powered services. This is something that has significantly reduced, lowering at the same time the entry barriers for new kind of competitive threats and opportunities. Also, we can see the cost for customers to change service providers. It has significantly reduced, which has lowered also the barriers for change, therefore making markets more liquid. It may be enabling significant shifts in market share. And finally, the ability of organizations to reach, to understand, to influence and adapt to changes in customer behavior. This has significantly increased, therefore improving the ability to create kind of mass personalization experiences through technology-powered service. This is what we can see thanks to the related to the digital services. Okay, let's try to look at some examples of these digital services. A very nice one is here on this slide. GE is providing field technicians with cutting-edge kind of augmented reality glasses, which allow remote experts to see exactly what the technicians see as they repair wind turbines. It also provides the workers with hands-free access to information. Interesting. Another example is where Thomson Reuters has developed an algorithm that uses streams or real-life data from Twitter to help journalists classify, source, fact check, and debunk rumors faster than ever before. This is a response to the critical need for accurate information, which fits the 24 hours news cycle. Let's see what Amazon was doing. Amazon Echo device is managing today, customers' shopping needs and the daily demands of busy lives. You can just talk to this device and expect some kind of behavior. But at the same time, Amazon is now so integrated into day-to-day lives that, for example, new apartment complexes, they are designing dedicated Amazon lockers for their buildings. You can see that on my slide. People now also trust the company with physical access to their homes, letting couriers make deliveries via something which is called Amazon Key and its smart lock system. What's then? What we know is about a very nice application, mobile app called Hijack. Actually, Guatemalan shoe store, Meatpack, what they did, they pinched customers from competitors through a mobile app called Hijack. How does it work? How did it work actually? When potential customers entered a rival store, they were detected using the app and offered a promotion at Meatpack, and a discount countdown began. So starting at 99% and ticking down by 1% every second until the customer or consumer entered the Meatpack store. When a discount was redeemed, the person's Facebook status automatically changed to inform the world. Another example is about Netflix and Amazon. Netflix tracks how customers interact with on-demand film downloads to improve its recommendations engine. So it looks at metrics such as when customers, for example, pause the movie and what scenes they watch again. It's quite important for them. Amazon Video, they cut its celebrity interview section of the Grand Tour after its data showed that most of the international audience just skipped this section in the season 1 and 2. Something which is for sure known by for everyone is that is what Airbnb was doing. Airbnb actually they disrupted an entire industry, moving from initial idea to product in less than 11 months. But it also hyperscaled to 10 million bookings in less than 56 months. And my last example is about something that happened in the public sector, where we have an example of Estonia. Estonia became the first nation to hold legally binding general elections using the internet. It held a pilot project for the municipal elections in 2005, parliamentary elections in 2007, and parliamentary elections through mobile phones in 2011. Which is pretty amazing, and we all know that they continue doing this kind of things with voting using mobile phones and the internet. Let's see now how these services and their digital characteristics may look like, because it is important to see if this kind of things are changing now, especially in these difficult times that we have here. The number of people in Central and Eastern Europe who have access to at least one online service, this has risen by 15% points since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is something what we know according to the new COVID-19 Digital Sentiment Insights. This was the survey done by McKinsey and Company. At the peak of the pandemic, there were almost 12 million new users of online services. Just to give you an overview how many people it is, this 12 million new users of online services, it is more than the population of Slovakia, Croatia, and Slovenia put together. So prior to the pandemic, 61% of consumers used digital services. Following the lockdowns imposed in various countries, that figure had grown to 76%. The survey done by McKinsey reveals rapid digital adoption by all age groups and geographies. Not just traditional early adopters, how we would call them, this young professionals living in large cities, but also younger generations, people aged 18 to 40, 45, led the way with regard to digital adoption in all countries in this region. So both before and after lockdowns were imposed. But the digital adoption rate also grew significantly during lockdown for consumers aged over 65. This is what we know. So a group whose increased level of medical risk creates, a strong incentive to access services online. In fact, this age group showed the strongest growth across the region, with the number of users increasing even by 40%. Furthermore, the number of services in different sectors accessed digitally by consumers has almost doubled since the start of the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, consumers accessed around 2 services online. Now they access around 4. Okay, the most popular online services are banking. They are accessed by 59% of consumers. We can see that. And of course, telecommunications, 45%. This comes as no surprise, I think. These 2 sectors, they have been investing significantly in digitalization for several years already, prior to the pandemic. The number of consumers accessing government services online has more than doubled, but these services, they also received the lowest satisfaction ratings from users. The uptake in e-commerce is also visible, as you can see. The number of consumers using online channels for grocery shopping doubled. For retail, it grew by, let's say, even 70%. Entertainment services have also doubled their numbers of users being accessed by 39% of consumers during the pandemic. The digital penetration is lowest for the insurance sector. You can see it's accessed by 21% of users only, and the travel industry 17%. Here, I think much room for digital acceleration remains. Low usage of digital channels in the travel industry comes as no surprise, though, given the travel restrictions that were in place. Okay, imagine now you were guys asked to build a new service. We could have a couple of questions to answer. First of all, I would like to ask, how would you define and segment the customers and other stakeholders of the service? How would you know what outcomes they were trying to achieve? And finally, how would you define the components of value that really matter? Here comes with a little help, the ITIL 4. ITIL 4 defines service as follows. A service is a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customers want to achieve without the customer having to manage specific costs and risks. This is something very similar to the previous definitions of a service that we had before, so in the previous versions of ITIL. Well, my previous examples, the ones given by me, they neatly, I think they neatly illustrate the importance of the definition of a service. In each case, the relationship between customers or stakeholders, value and outcomes is clear. What is not always clear is how these things are managed as distinct services. When looking at an existing service, it can be difficult to imagine, for example, the mindset of the service provider when they first envision the service, and how would they see the value to be co-created. The value stream is one of the terms, one of the definitions that we use in ITIL 4. The value stream is without a doubt an extremely important topic in ITIL 4, because the whole concept makes clear how the overall value that service delivers is a complex combination of sub-components, and we will speak about it later on. Now, just to explain how value streams work, I would like to invite you for coffee. So going to a coffee shop, you want to get a great coffee. This is the overall value you want. So what are the subcomponents here? You want service with a smile, to have a comfortable seat and maybe a clean table. Each is a value stream, and everything that I described contributes to the overall value of having a coffee. But they also have their own specifics. For example, you get the coffee on the counter from one person, but there is also another person that is responsible for cleaning up the tables. Focusing on each individual topic in this case can increase the overall value that we have. ITIL 4's definition of the value stream is a series of steps that our organization undertakes to create and deliver products and services to our consumers. Everything is working across something which is called in the ITIL service value chain, SVS. But this concept clearly evolves the previous ITIL focus on processes and process outputs by helping people to easily understand how a stream connects processes to services and how operations support business strategy. As value stream allows a greater focus on these particular elements of value created, what we can see is that IT practitioners, they can be more specific about which ITIL practices and activities should be involved. For example, incident management. Take this as a value stream. Incident management, if we're taking it as a value stream, means thinking about the journey, about the skills, about tools and combination of practices that we can have in our service value chain just to create value and solve simple or complex issues. Just returning to our coffee example, if we see the whole thing as only a process, we will define the steps, the roles, and responsibilities. We will maybe create procedures and work instruction. But in an ITIL forward, we think more about the value of the different interactions with the customer and focus on topics that we would never put in process documentation. Value streams, they are a practical approach and they offer clarity about what value is. Today, with technology becoming more commoditized, maybe, it is more about how we structure our interactions with customers than the technology itself. One of the 4 dimensions of service management are value streams and processes, which define kind of, activities, workflows, controls, maybe procedures that are needed to achieve some objectives. However, despite having value streams and processes in one dimension, they are still somehow interconnected with the rest of the service value system. So both in general are relating to specific products and services. For example, to outsource part or maybe even all of our maybe a value stream, we need to decide how important the value stream is for overall value co-creation. Also, we need to consider the other service management dimensions to clearly define the value stream. Let's say a customer wants to have a service in multiple languages, something very ordinary. Do we build the service stream internally, or maybe we use partners? Will our technology allow us to do that? We actually need to think about these things when defining a value stream. value streams, they support something what we call the customer journey. And the customer will notice that their provider has an eye for detail. So having a focus on each value stream that affects the customer means that you can define the activities to optimize where necessary. ITIL for value streams, they are kind of the vessel and tool sets for this journey. So moving from process-driven approach to enabling you to deliver what customer expects. This perspective is more about service value management and asks the question, for example, are we delivering value? Can we optimize? Can the customer be happier? When we are asked, for example, by our service providers like Amazon, Google, or Uber to rate their services, to evaluate our experience, this is how we can co-create the value. That actually makes our journey go on. Amazing, isn't it? According to the Axelos benchmark study, we know that 56% of responders said IT service management in their organization is aligned with business strategy. We know that. Understanding ITIL helps, for example, the C-suite and business executives understand the criticality of ITSM to digital transformation and also challenges that ITSM faces in their organization. But at the same time, ITIL4 encourages these professionals to adopt and adapt frameworks relevant to their organization. This is including Agile, DevOps, and Lean. There are various ITIL definitions that may sound here totally new for you, like service value system that I use, which stands for kind of a model representing how all the components and activities of our organization work together. We have these 4 dimensions just to support kind of a holistic approach to service management. And we have guiding principles, which are with ITIL since 2016, where we had a release of ITIL practitioner training, but we reduced number of these guiding principles from 9 to 7. We have finally value co-creation, which is about maybe joint activities that are performed by a service provider, but also a service consumer based on agreed and maybe available so-called service offerings. Many ITSM professionals, they are currently certifying in the ITIL4 guidance. Their journey always must start with the foundation training, something which you can see at the bottom. With the introduction of ITIL4, ITSM practitioners now also can benefit from this holistic approach to service management. Thinking of services as a way to co-create value means connecting and maybe collaborating more. So becoming an integral part of an organization rather than simply striving to align IT with the business. What we know, what we say to people is that ITIL should be adopted for the entire IT function rather than a framework for ITSM alone. Ultimately, successful digital transformation is a cultural shift in how organizations use tech-enabled digital services to satisfy changing customer needs. The value that it creates is possible only when there is, collaborative working and communication between different IT disciplines and stakeholders, just to ensure that the transformation is effective across various pillars of digital transformation. There is nothing left for me to do but invite you to the ITIL for Foundation accredited training with ASECO Academy. The training lasts 2 days and ends with an exam, with getting certification. And this is always the first step to managing IT services. Thank you very much for your attention. As I promised, I think I kept this 30 minutes for my presentation. Hopefully, this topic will help some of you to think about ideas on how digital services could look and why they are so important today. Now we should have a question and answers session. Let me check if we have any questions. Chart. Any questions? No? Yeah, this session is recorded, so we have in plan to publish it. And if any questions arise, just let us know. Thank you very much, guys, for your time and for your presence.